So let's go ahead and we'll throw up the yeah. So at this point going forward, yeah, everything's on the table.
Yeah.
The kid in this movie,
Yeah.
I wanted to leave the theater as soon as he was on screen. I don't know who this kid is.
Even hearing his narration at the beginning.
Yeah. I don't know who this kid is. I don't know if I don't know if he's got any other acting credits under his name, and I don't think it was his fault. I think he was as a kid. I'm weird with kid actors too because they're kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was one of the worst.
It's all about direction.
It is, and this is one of the worst child actor performances I think I've ever seen. I mean, this was awful. The dialogue he was given was so dumb and so on the nose sometimes. You know what it felt like to me was in Shazam, Billy's adopted brother with the crutch, who's like superhero stuff like that. To me, this was just the leftovers from that. There's a lot of leftovers from other superhero movies in this movie.
Yeah.
And
I think he was supposed to be the analog for like us because he's super into superhero stuff and like he has it all over his room and he's very much like, oh, you have to have a catchphrase or all this stuff. So I think he was supposed to be the analog for the audience. But in a movie like this, we don't need an analog for us.
And it works in something like Shazam, which is a very family friendly for the most part. It's Shazam. It's a movie about a kid. And it's true to kind of what the nature of Shazam is. Black Adam is meant to be kind of the antithesis of that.
English is hard.
English is hard, kids, and I've been speaking it since I was a baby. So not since I was a baby, that'd be weird. And also look, I understand, like, and Disney is so guilty of this too, and all of their stuff. There was so much Warner Brothers, DC, excuse my language, just jerking themselves off in this movie. This kid's. The first time we see him, he drops his backpack, and the director makes a point to have a close-up on the new 52 DC comics that are in there for Wonder Woman and Cyborg. And his room is just papered with Superman and Batman posters that I had growing up, that I have in my room right now. There's a promo poster from The Dark Knight Rises on the wall, for crying out loud. Like, it was shameless. It was borderline prostitution the way this was done. I mean, they hoard this movie out with
you were way more pissed about this than I was.
That bugs the shit out of me, because Transformers does it all the time where, you know, Mark Wahlberg stops in the middle of a fight, picks up a Bud Light and holds it in the sun with the logo facing out. All the Marvel movies have Disney stuff plastered everywhere. It bugs the crap out of me. And I understand that in this world, these guys are known entities or whatever. I refuse to believe that, since we're still continuing with the DCEU a la Batfleck, that Batman has colorful posters of himself out there, because the way he's been presented in this world, nobody likes Batman. Batman's scary. Batman's no good. Like, take it away, Soul, please.
Yeah, that didn't bother me. I was just like, oh, of course. And I think it's because I'm more cynical I'm like, movies are going to be placing these product placements into their movies, so it's like expected, so it doesn't piss me off.
To me, product placement is like in Star Trek 09 when the phone pops up and it just says Nokia on it for 2 seconds. That's product placement. This was just ridiculous. I'm sorry.
I would say, but from the beginning, the kid is doing the voiceover for the story, and voiceover is very hit or miss in movies for like giving the plot or what is the beginning of the story through. And I think it was kind of missing this. I would have liked that beginning part to be a little bit longer, even though the movie was 2 hours. And also just the way the delivery, it felt like it was like his first time in the booth. Like
Yeah.
and I think too, just like watching like cartoons and animes, like a real adult. I'm
Yeah.
very keen to voice acting and like to how it sounds. And I was just like, yeah, this is not good. Like we needed a few extra, or even having someone else tell the story. But the story then, because it's being told by him at the beginning in the narration, that we're supposed to see this movie through this kid's eyes, and therefore be excited for Black Adam to show up because that's their hero. So I can kind of see what they were trying to do with it. It just wasn't executed well.
And like you said, voiceover is very tricky. I mean, my favorite
Yeah.
movie is Blade Runner, and there's a version of that movie, the theatrical cut, that all has all noir style detective voiceover from Harrison Ford. And even Harrison Ford, you could tell it was just like, this is a dumb idea, but we're doing it because we have to. That's why they remove it in later cuts of the movie. And yeah, having the kid do the voiceover at the beginning is meant to, like you said, like make it so we're seeing this kind of through his eyes. It didn't click for a couple of different reasons. One, yeah, it was not well done. It was not well done. I think with this kid, they were just like allergic to the term take two. This kid has no knowledge of any of this stuff, though. Like, it's not like he's super into this Kondak mythology. His mom is. His mom knows
Yeah.
all of this stuff. If it had been the kid was as into it as his mother was, and was trying to, like, oh, mom, look at this, like was reading these books, or like was reading this book out loud or something, it would have clicked a little bit better. But
Yeah.
because it was just kind of there to be there and then never happens again, it's like, I really do feel like there's a 3-hour cut of this movie. And like you said, I wish that intro origin stuff was longer. The scenes that we see later on in the movie, when we get 4 different versions of his backstory, because apparently we're
Yeah.
jokering this again, which it was so ripped off from Shang-Chi, it's kind of ridiculous, actually. I would rather they just showed all that in the beginning. Give
Yeah.
me 35 minutes of just the whole actual story, and then we'll jump to modern day. I'm cool with that if it's good, because there was a lot of money put into that
Yeah.
stuff in the past, where
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's no way they spent all this money for this little. That was
And
meant
yeah. And you saw the 300 moment too of like
I did. I did. That was the first, I have that in my notes. I was like, am I watching 300?
And I was just like, even though I wasn't liking the voiceover, I was liking the visuals that I was
Yes.
seeing, and it was very Zack Snyder. And we are fans of Zack Snyder here on Off the Wall. Just ask Bogz, he's not here. He's the biggest fan of
Oh, I know.
all of us of Zack, which is why I was just like, I think he's gonna like this movie just
I
because of
think he
how
is too. He's
Zack
not gonna be able to
Snyder.
see for like another week, which is why he's not here, just because of his work schedule. But like, I think he's gonna actually really like this movie.
Right. So I wanted, and then you go into modern day, and then there's just stuff that needed to be explained better for me. Like, who is occupying this country? Like, I still don't have that answer. They may have said it off, like, why is this country being
Called
occupied?
Intergang, but that's
Yeah,
all we
I'm
get.
like, who are they? I was just like, is that something that DC comic book fans should know who that is? Because I don't. And I was going, and pretty much too, it's just like, okay, why are they occupying? Is it for resources? Because like obviously it's an analog of the Middle East, is what we have here. So
Oh yeah.
so I'm like, are they going for oil? Are they there for this reason or for that reason? Like, I want to know why there is this military intervention in this country, and why it's going, and then who's responsible for that military intervention. Because there's really good parts even later when she's talking to the Justice Society, and was just like, oh, you're here now, where were you guys before when all this injustice was happening in our country? Like, you get to decide. And it was very like, there's deeper thing in this movie that like wasn't really, could have been brought more to the forefront, I feel, because that is so real, especially living like in a Western country who has gone over and invaded the country that did not attack us. in 9/11. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
and kind of just the US involvement in the Middle East, and I'm sure like probably look to other Western countries, the UK, stuff like that. And who has the decision to make these, like, how these countries should operate? Is it
Yeah.
the citizens? Is it these invaders? Is it this Justice Society? That could have been so much more of this movie. And you saw it in the background, but I wish it would have brought more to the forefront.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in this movie that felt like, oh wow, it was like a Civil War moment with like Captain America Civil War. It's like, wow, I feel like there should be 4 other movies before this one. Like I feel like there should have been a Dr. Fate movie and a Hawkman JSA movie before this one, and a movie, because like in the comics, Intergang get all their tech from the New Gods of Apocalypse. Like that's a big, it's a big plot point. And in this, they're just kind of this weird crime syndicate, I guess, that have some cool tech, but like, where'd they get it?
And that they're allowed to be, because like they've obviously been there for several years, that they're allowed
Yeah.
to be there by the powers that be in other places.
They're not, again, that's one of those, like, I feel like there needed to be a longer cut or a different script for this movie that just to show me all that. Like, don't just tell me Intergang's occupying this area. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why?
Or show how, because like think about it too, currently right now, the war in Ukraine, where Russia has invaded Ukraine, and the US and other countries are giving support to Ukraine. We're not going in there and sending our troops and all of that, but we are giving them military grade weapons to
Mark
fight
Hamill.
off against the Russians. Yeah.
Mark
So
Hamill has sent drones. The Joker has sent drones.
right. So like in the sense, okay, have this group been invading this country and no one has sent support to the country to fight off these invaders?
Yeah, it comes up where, because Hawkman says as much to what's the actress's name, or the character's name, Adriana.
ISIS, I believe.
Adriana, the girl. He tells her, yeah, we're here to stop this whole Intergang thing, and it's like, no, you're not. You're here because Black Adam's here. That's the only reason you're here. You are not here because of Intergang. That is just yeah, while we're here, I guess we'll deal with this. It was, and even like I understood the deeper theme they were trying to, the one we've been talking about with the colonization and the occupation and stuff like that. It was so on the nose.
Yeah.
Like it was so just like it wasn't, it was so heavy-handed. And I'm not saying it needed to be like so subtle I had to dig for it, but it was like they literally have the kid just do a whole spiel yelling at the one soldier at the beginning. And I know that was kind of part of the ruse, but it was so like it's just on the nose about it. Like it might as well just called conduct Iran or something like that. Like it was so,
But they were on the nose in certain areas and then kept it too subtle in others. I feel like there was things that could have been brought forward, and I didn't mind that part because it kind of played. You found out that played into the ruse of them escaping.
yeah,
But like I'm like, okay, you're focusing on it here. Focus more on it. Like this is actually interesting stuff, interesting storytelling that should be brought more. But it felt like the writers, I guess, didn't care about it that much. Like they're like, we need it here for the setup,
yeah,
but it doesn't really matter. And that's a little bit more insulting than
yeah. It was wildly inconsistent. It was wildly inconsistent. Let's get into because I could do a whole video just talking about that part of it. Let's get into the JSA of it all. So we've got 4 members of the Justice Society. led by Hawkman, with his buddy Kent, aka Dr. Fate, as well as Atom Smasher and Cyclone. These four, I don't fully know why they were in this movie.
But I'm glad they were there because they were really good.
I'm glad two of the four were there.
Yeah.
I had a hard time with Atom Smasher and Cyclone because they were given so little to do.
They were there for the people to ship.
Yeah, but even
they were really cute together.
even that still just kind of plays into there's got to be a 3-hour cut of this movie somewhere, because I'm like, I needed more of that.
Yeah,
because their scenes were over so quickly. They, she goes into this whole spiel about how she was like kidnapped and experimented on, and I was like, oh my god, that's awful. Are we gonna? Oh no, the scene's over now.
Yeah,
okay, all right. I guess we're done with that. And then it never comes up again.
And it was funny because he's trying to flirt with her, right?
Sure.
Oh, and like yeah. he's like laying it on thick, and like it was adorable. I was just like, he's so like charming, like in a way, like, and then she's like, I found it very charming, and I'm a woman, so I think in
your opinion. But also, as a guy on that standpoint, there's a beautiful woman who's very smart and spunky and quirky, and I'm like, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. You're both two pretty people. Yes, get to kiss, damn it.
Just kiss. But so he's being very charming, and then she goes into this very for real backstory of herself, and it felt like that backstory was told just so like, oh, audience, by the way, kind of so that
she gets her own spinoff someday. Here's a whole bunch of backstory.
yeah, which was like very quick, and then which the way she cuts like the tension of like him being flirtatious with her, which like I'm like, yes, okay, more. And then the scene ends and I'm like, no. Like, because those are funny and real moments, because that's real life where like the funny can turn into the tragic and then back into the funny again. Mm-hmm. And we had the funny turn into the tragic, but the tragic lasted very minuscule amounts, and then you went to the next scene. And so it was just like, no, let this scene breathe out, because these two are being really real with each other.
Mm-hmm. It really just, and story-wise, my biggest problem with them, I think, was they didn't need to be there, because Amanda Waller comes to Hawkman and says, hey, potential global threat here. We need the Justice Society to intervene. And his response is, okay, let me get the one guy who's been here a while and two brand new, never
a little green.
She said they're a little green. Oh, they are a lot green.
Yeah. And also, why is Amanda Waller there? That's the biggest thing for me. It's like, like, why is she there? Also, if she's there, why is she not sending the Suicide Squad?
I got a lot to say about Amanda Waller's involvement.
And also, why is a certain someone working with her?
You're gonna get to that. Oh, we are gonna get to that.
She should not be in this movie. That makes no sense. Unless you're sending the Suicide Squad in to fight against this. I already forgot what the name of the military occupationists are, because they said it like one or twice in the movie. Mm-hmm. Like, but yeah, why is she there?
I don't know, because then that leads me to the next thing, which is like, okay, if you've had the Justice Society on speed dial, why do you need the Suicide Squad? If you have the Suicide Squad, why do you need the Justice Society? If you've had the Justice Society all this time, where were they when everything else was going to shit? If they have been here all this time, because by Dr. Fate's statement, they've been doing this for like 20 years.
Yeah. For a long time. He's a seasoned veteran.
Like what? I get they were here because they wanted to have like a team of heroes or some in some aspect with the whole Black Adam essentially being a villain, a bad guy
And
type
have someone
thing.
be black and white, like
Yeah.
because Hawkman is very black and white. Like this is good, this is bad. But then I also like too when they went to him like, okay, but you're drawing the line of
Yeah.
where good and bad meet.
To me, it almost felt like, well, we can't use the Justice League. Who else do we got? Because they were like, if we put the Justice League into this, it becomes a Justice League movie. And also, we're not willing to spend Justice League money on this movie. We need something. To me, it was like
There's someone in the Justice League that we probably shouldn't have in other movies.
and, to me, all the different things that they have, there's a lot of adversarial stuff in this movie. It's Black Adam versus Intergang, Justice Society versus Black Adam and Justice Society versus Intergang, then the two of them against this other big bad that pops up in the last 20 minutes for some reason.
Basically Satan.
It's just it's Mephisto.
Yeah, no, I was like, I even wrote in my notes, I was like, Mephisto confirmed.
I wrote, oh, this is a Hellboy crossover because he looks like Hellboy. He looks like Hellboy, and I know that's actually a character. I know that's a Saba. I don't know that character at all. I know he's part of the Shazam kind of trunk of DC. I never read a lot of Shazam, so I don't know anything about him. But
the thing too is his name sounds familiar of like a god in actual mythology. So I don't know if it's like Egyptian, because like the woman's name, I believe her name is Isis, which I think her name is like
in the comics. Yes, in the comics.
But they even I think if you look at the IMDb, like her name is Isis as well, and that's more on a play of like the Egyptian god. I believe
in the movie she just goes by her secret identity name, which is Adriana Tomaz. But yeah, in the comics she's Adriana / she was part of this. She was again. She's a character that was part of the Shazam side of things. So
I could be wrong. I think when I looked on the wiki, like it had her name be Isis.
Probably just had it listed as both because that's his character is in the comics. But anyway, it just the point I was getting at is to me this felt like 3 different movies that they couldn't find a full story for each, so they just kind of slammed what they had together. And like this could have just been a Justice Society movie. This could have just been Black Adam versus Intergang. This could have just been Black Adam and the Justice Society. I didn't need all of these things because Black Adam ends up kind of taking a back seat because we've talked about him like not at all so far in this review. He takes a big back seat in his own movie.
Yeah. And he also is, if we're talking about green, which like the thing is, he's not green when it comes to acting, but it felt like him and the kid were the most like green actors on this movie. And the other thing that too, you are supposed to be from this country. And in the past, you're speaking in a different language.
Well, we're getting into this part. Okay, yeah, let's do this part.
You don't have an accent, yet everyone else from this country has an accent. And even like Mo Amer, who I love Mo Amer as a comedian. I find him hilarious. There's even times when like his American accent is like Texan American accent comes out a little bit in like certain moments where like, but this is his first acting gig that he's ever had. So it's just like, okay, yeah, like there should have been like, okay, let's take another take. Mo, like come here, like make sure to stay in your accent the whole time. But
like well, I had him watching a Wild Western movie. I was like, he's from Texas. Of course he's watching.
Right.
He's good, the bad, and the ugly. I don't know.
So, but I was just like, why does The Rock not have an accent? Probably because he couldn't do it. But
because it okay. So this bugged me the whole freaking movie. So like, he's from 2600 BC.
Yeah.
He speaks this ancient language. He speaks it when he first shows up.
Yeah.
He speaks whatever this language is. He whispers it, so I didn't know if there was much of an accent, but he speaks this other language. And then he doesn't speak again for like another 10, 15 minutes. And when he does, it's The Rock. And I saw someone on Twitter said to me, like, Oh, well, because part of his powers is you know, the wisdom of Solomon, so he can learn. I was like, great, cool, show me that. Because for all the faults of X-Men Apocalypse, at least there's a scene where Apocalypse goes to a TV where the news is and puts his hands on it and is clearly absorbing it. And the girl goes, "What are you doing?" And he just very softly says, "Learning." Oh, okay, so he's learning the languages. Cool. Took 5 seconds. Give me a scene of that, of him, like, you know, and I don't know. I've never seen Shazam or Black Adam have this power, but screw the comics in this movie. Put his hand on the kid's head and okay, now I speak your language, like something. Instead, he just up and speaks at times a little too casual English.
It kind of like takes you out of it though, too, where I was just like, why doesn't he have an accent? Like the whole time. Because like I can get it, like if someone's like doing an accent and like accidentally comes out of it a little bit, like Mo Amer, but I was like, okay, yeah,
that's an attempt.
Yeah, there's an attempt there, but it felt like kind of just like he was like, I'm the Rock, I'm gonna be myself, and that's that. It's just like, it doesn't make sense, Mr. Dwayne Johnson. I'm the Rock.
Look, I didn't do one for Scorpion King. I ain't doing one for Black Adam. It's kind of what it felt like. Yeah, I especially, and okay, this is the most nitpickiest thing ever, but it bugged the crap out of me too. 2600 BC is when they say he was from, right?
Yeah.
The alphabet, as we know it, did not exist back then. So for the wizards to say, you have to say the word Shazam because Shazam, which is how the spell works, wouldn't make sense in 2600 BC. That none of that existed back then. It doesn't make sense. It just anyway.
But like you can kind of look at some languages or ancient languages and like be like, okay, well, this is like the input for like this letter,
right?
Or like you look at other languages like modern, which I mean these languages like have existed, but like there's certain letters that are not in Hebrew and certain letters that are not in Arabic, or then like there's extra letters in Spanish than there are in English. So like there's more letters in my language than there is in English.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that sense too, there's not always even in real world settings. So like maybe like, oh, these were the letters that are available. I didn't have that nitpick at all. I didn't care.
This is my former English teacher side coming out. So
yeah.
So but again, with that, I'm like, cool, then just show me. Because like we clearly shot scenes with him and the Wizard Council, including Jaimin Hansu, who was back, who's coming back in Shazam 2. Again, this goes to the, oh, you cut the origin story down.
I mean, for me, I didn't need it. And I think because we've already had the Shazam movie, that like if there was like, oh, we have to cut some stuff away, and that's what you cut, that makes sense to me.
I get it. I feel like at times, but again, because the whole thing with like his story kept coming back up and changing every time we heard it, it's like, okay, clearly you shot this stuff, but instead now we're just being spoon fed it through dialogue. And again, it's a visual medium. Show me, don't tell me. So let's talk about the villain here. I would like to make a plea to Hollywood, please. Stop casting Marwan Kenzari as villains, because it didn't work in Aladdin and it didn't work in this. I find him about as intimidating as a wet sock. And he reeked of villain from the moment he was on screen. When he's in that cave and it's just, oh, he got a little claustrophobic, decided to go outside the mountain for a little bit.
Yeah.
I
for as smart as she was, I was just like, you should have be catching the vibe that he's putting down
like
right now.
And honestly, delivered by a better actor might have worked. But like he was so mustache twirly every time he was on screen. Like he went to the like he was just trying to be you'll never catch it was so snidely whiplash of it. Like it was so just
He's just being Jafar again.
yeah,
basically.
He was being modern.
And then like who Jafar turns into at the end of Aladdin, like kind of the same thing.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even put those together. Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. Seriously. Stop casting him as villains, guys. He's a good actor. He's a very good actor. Stop casting him as a bad guy. It's kind of like how back in the day when I was pleading everyone to stop putting Beyonce in anything because she can't act. Keep casting Marwan Kenzari, just not as a bad guy. He can't, like Riz Ahmed in Venom did not work as a villain. He's just.
I liked Venom.
I know. I liked the movie just fine. I didn't buy Riz Ahmed as he was kind of playing the same type of villain, just very, I'm so obviously evil, it might as well be tattooed on my forehead. Like it's just, yeah. But he's the villain, I guess, for a little bit. And again, if Inner Gang was all we were worried about, cool. Or if we had teased this whole bringing back the Demon Lord Sabak thing from the beginning, cool. But that doesn't come up at all. They dropped the name Sabak like twice.
Yeah, the same with Inner Gang. They dropped that like twice. Like it felt like there was a lot of moments of like the dialogue. It's like, oh, these are comic fans. They'll know what we're talking about.
That's been the problem, I think, with a lot of the DC movies is they're making movies for people who they're assuming have already read all the comics and don't need anything explained to them. Whereas with Marvel, they tell these original stories with these characters, but still treat you like you need to learn who these people are. A lot of DC movies are like, you guys know all this already.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. And also, even if I do, like, I'm here to see this character be developed. Like,
yeah, like, but yet we'll see Batman's parents die over and over and over again.
That's when it's done. That's when you can do it too much. This is a character we haven't seen before.
Yeah. But I'm saying, like, they're like, oh, you guys read the comics. We don't need to explain anything except for Batman's parents. They need to die.
Yeah.
It's like the Harley Quinn episode, just on a loop.
So good. So good. I want to talk more quick about, I mentioned earlier, like this movie borrows from a lot of other comic book movies. Like everything to do with Hawkman was such a straight rip of Black Panther. They tried so hard to make Hawkman Black Panther, from the design of his clothes, his ship, the way his technology functioned. It was such a Black Panther ripoff that it didn't make sense to me. Dr. Fate, who's a character that has existed long before Doctor Strange did, and in the comics, by no means are the two of them like it's not like Swamp Thing and Man Thing where they're basically the same character. Like Dr. Fate and Doctor Strange are very different characters. But man, and he was probably my favorite part of the movie, but man, did they go to the Doctor Strange school of how to work this guy. In the movie, there was so many times Atom Smasher was so much leftover Deadpool CGI with his mask and everything. Especially, I was like, they just took Deadpool's mask and painted it blue with the way this character,
and then gave it to Ant-Man,
and then gave it to basically Ant-Man. So many moments in this were like the 300 moment at the beginning. I was like, they are borrowing from every movie under the sun in this. It didn't feel like there was a whole lot of original ideas in a lot of this movie. Like just, okay, well, this stuff from this movie worked, and this stuff from this movie worked, and this stuff from this movie worked. Here's all the things you guys liked in these other movies. Oh, you don't want it? Oh, shit.
I think to like play devil's advocate a little bit is there aren't really many original ideas left out there.
It's true.
And a lot of people's original ideas are make homage and borrow from other people. So for Hawkman, I wasn't thinking Black Panther. I was thinking a little bit of Doctor Strange with Doctor Fate, but I was liking what he was doing in the movie so much that I didn't care. I think because the character of Adam Smasher, like just the way he was, like when he wasn't doing action stuff, was so different from Deadpool that I wasn't going, oh, Deadpool. Or he was a little bit more, he was closer to being Ant-Man than he was Deadpool for me.
Oh, sure. Yeah, character-wise, absolutely.
Yeah,
I meant more just the CGI itself. I was that's Deadpool.
So in this, with a lot of it didn't bother me. There was times when I'm like, oh, this is like paying homage to that, or this is paying homage to that. What bothered me more was the way they were scrambling things together without actually having like a through line between everything. Because, like I said in the non-spoiler, this is pretty much a video game. It's like we're gonna have a bunch of fight sequences, but we can't go from one fight to another. So we gotta have a little bit of like cut scenes in between where stuff is happening for it to. So this movie is not just Black Adam fighting the movie, which the fighting was really, really cool. But
very cool. It was very cool. The fighting in this movie is awesome. It is awesome.
And so you then, in the sense, then when you're pulling all these things together and pulling too much, which we've seen that before with these DC movies. Look at Batman v Superman. That was multiple movies in one. That was a Man of Steel 2. That was a Batman origin story because we got to see his parents die again. Like that was a Batman v Superman. Yeah, this was a pre-Justice League. Like it literally was so many things in one. And I felt like this movie was kind of like, let's do that again. And I was like, no, DC, don't.
Yeah. Especially when now these reports are coming out that they're considering this their first movie in their phase 1. And I'm like, it's the 11th movie. Okay. So what were all those? But also, you're putting all your eggs in this one. This is a Green Lantern situation all over again, where they were like, this is our jumping off point. And I'm like, this is not a great jumping off point.
I think they trust a lot in The Rock because, like, I mean, just look at the revitalization of Fast and Furious. Like, the second you put The Rock in it, like, that made that series.
He saved that franchise.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, oh, trust in The Rock. Not always.
And here's the thing. I think this movie's going to make money. I don't think it's going to make as much as they want it to, but he's going to put butts in seats.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, maybe 2 Jumanji movies, and they're good.
I was just like, Jumanji's good. Central Intelligence is good. Yeah. Like, there's movies where The Rock is actually doing like good acting.
Yeah, The Mummy Returns. I'm kidding.
This movie, I was just like, did you throw all of your skill away, Mr. The Rock?
I feel like he got too caught up in being the producer. I think he got too cocky. I think he got too caught up in being the producer of this movie that he forgot he has to act. Although I thought he was fine. It just wasn't his best performance I've seen from him. I think he's not used to playing a villain. He's used to playing a hero, and there's a level
but he could be. Look at wrestling. He knows how to be a villain and be a good villain, and knows how to be a heel, like in wrestling. And that's what I was expecting from this Black Adam movie.
Yeah.
And times it just felt phoned in from him, where it's like everyone around him was doing such great acting. That was just, except for the kid.
Yeah, well,
poor kid, pobrecito.
I know. I'm not trying to trash on this kid. I don't know.
Yeah. He's very adorable, and I think that, like, I'm glad he got his foot in.
Yeah.
Because then he can do something in the future and probably be really good at it.
He really didn't need to be there. Honestly, he just really didn't need to be there at all. His mother could have been the through line. Honestly. And
I think they wanted something where, like, the mother and his son die in the past to have a mother and son now in the present.
Which again, I think goes to would have made a lot more sense if we had seen that in the beginning of the movie as opposed to in the last 20 minutes.
Because like no one was fooled that wasn't The Rock.
Right.
We all know what The Rock sounds like.
Yeah.
Even when he's speaking a made up language.
Yeah.
We're like, that's The Rock.
It was also a weird choice to, again, like they pulled this from Shang-Chi where they give 4 different versions of what actually happened to get him to being, Black Adam. But all the stuff about his son and wife being killed was in the trailers. So I don't understand the point in saving it last as a big reveal. Well, what really happened was my wife and son were killed. Yeah, I know. It's in every trailer. That's such J.J. Abrams. Benedict Cumberbatch is not Khan. I promise you he's not Khan. Really? Because everything here says he's Khan. He's not Khan. And then that's the big crux of the movie. And it's like, yeah, we knew that.
Yeah.
So it goes to
it was kind of like when with the Get Out thing. Remember when they wanted to put her with showing the keys in the trailer, and and Jordan Peele fought tooth and nail to not have that be in the trailer. Like, why are you trying to fuck things up in the trailers? Come on.
Yeah. The best parts of this movie, however, other than the action, because the action was just straight fire, were Hawkman and Dr. Fate. Oh, they were cool.
They were very cool.
They were cool.
Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan's never bad. I'm sorry, he is never bad. I remember
even in Mamma Mia.
Even in Mamma Mia, he's fine. I remember he was the James Bond I grew up on. I remember when they said they were putting the JSA with Dr. Fate in this movie, and I was like, and then they come out one day, Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate, and I remember saying, okay, movie, well played. Well played. Your move. All right, cool. Brilliant casting. Aldous Hodge as Hawkman, because they tried Hawkman live action on the CW, and Hawkman's a hard character to pull off and it not be silly. They made Hawkman work in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, if they tell me, if there's a tweet on Monday that says Hawkman movie coming, next summer or whatever, take my money now. I'm in. I want that movie yesterday. It would be great.
And I love to see, and the outside agrees, like looking at like someone like Peacemaker, who is technically a hero, but has a line where he's going to have peace no matter what. So he will be unpeaceful to gain peace, right?
I'm here to fight for liberty. I don't care how many men, women, and children I have to kill to get it.
Exactly. All right. And then you also have 1 second. Yeah, I'm here. Okay, I'll come out in a little bit, okay? Besitos. My niece.
That's cute.
Where was
I? Peacemaker, like he's got that line, and he is kind of a hero, but not.
Yeah. So then with Hawkman, he is like very much black and white, but in this the line of like, it's easy to be black and white when you're the one drawing the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you are considered bad to him, bye-bye. Like, even if what is considered bad to him is actually helping other people. So I like when you have like a character like him who's so like, this is black, this is white, and then being like convinced throughout the movie, kind of like, actually no, there's some gray Hawkman.
Yeah. It's the opposite side of that, and it was very cool. Dr. Fate's a character that I am a huge fan of and have been for. I love my magic users that have doctor in their name. I don't know what it is. But also, I mean, the design of Dr. Fate in the comics, as cool as it is, he looks good in this movie. That's because that's an easy one to screw up, because it is very comic booky. It's very, 60s. He looked cool in this
he did.
movie. Which is why something that happens when he dies, I was ready to walk out of the theater, but Get into that in a
He
little
was so why are we always killing off like the coolest people?
bit.
Like he dies in Black Panther when you have Michael B. Jordan's character dying. Like
Yeah.
why are you killing off all the like the good things?
So especially I'll get in a little bit. I want to stay positive for a little bit here. I've been angry too much in this review. He was so good. He was so charming. He was so just classy. Like when he just walks in, takes the helmet off, and he's just sitting there. When they're fighting in the apartment, he's just popping a lifesaver. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. This isn't going to go anywhere. Okay, we got time. We got time. We're good. Oh, you're done.
Technically, he's right.
Like, but I love he's just popping. It's just kind of like, oh, are you guys done? Oh, okay, cool. Because we got something we actually need to go deal with. So can we?
Yeah.
Okay. Children, Daddy's gonna pull his car over.
No, and the one thing though is Hawkman having to say like, no killing, and that just being. I was like, that was a little overdone, a little too much. But when Black Adam's like, I didn't kill him. I waited till you were there to save them, and then like, and Dr. Fate was like, technically, you're correct.
Yes. Got you there. Yeah. I also loved Hawkman constantly trying to reel in Atom Smasher. Like when he keeps
you and me.
Or on the ship when he is openly flirting with Cyclone, he's like, don't.
Not the place for this.
They were so good. Which is, and
do you have any snacks?
Then he walks up with a bucket of fried chicken. Not sure where he got that from, but I get it. Because Ant-Man needed orange slices. Getting that giant in the comics when he grows that big, like it's established that like his bones break and reform. Ow. Yeah, I'd want snacks too. Also, your metabolism's got to be insane doing something like that.
Can you please give that metabolism to me?
No shit. But also with Hawkman, not just were they the coolest parts of the movie just on their own, but like their relationship was. I want a movie of that. I want to see that story.
Yeah, I want a movie of that. But I love like their relationship was so good that you didn't need establishing things to know how this team worked between the two of them, which is great. That is great writing.
Yes.
There. When you have two characters where the second you see them on screen together, you know exactly what their relationship is. That's between the script and the acting, between like being just perfect. So it was just like, oh, we know exactly who these people are.
When he's like, oh, am I the one who's going to die? And he's like, when it's time for us to say goodbye, you'll know. Legit, that hit me in the throat in the theater. Like those scenes of them together were some of just the best writing in a superhero movie. That was such great character work. And I mean, these two, Aldous Hodge and Pierce Brosnan, are acting circles around everyone in this movie. And and that's, I think, why the rest of the movie makes me as irritated as it does. Cause it's like, there are pockets of this movie that if the rest of the movie was written that well, this really would be the game changer that DC wants it to be.
Like, how can you do such brilliant writing in one scene and such crap writing in another?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Like, how do you write that scene and then in a couple scenes later have the kid trying to escape by riding his skateboard with his hood up? How was that?
Or the scene of them going down and he's like, he gets on his skateboard, gets off, runs down the stairs, gets back on his skateboard for 3 feet, gets off, runs down the stairs to the next level. Just
that scene went on way too long.
Yeah.
Wow. I was, by the time that scene keeps going, and I'm like, are we still doing this? We've been in this scene for minutes.
Seeing him get on his skateboard, go 3 feet, do the thing where the skateboard comes up, picks the skateboard, runs down the 3 feet of stairs.
I love how you just admitted to how little you know about skateboarding by doing the thing where the skateboard comes up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
know either. I don't know what it's called either. That scene was way too long. It's also apparently everybody in this town's a Jay-Z fan.
Yeah.
That drove me nuts. This is the first time that I was like, also, there's so many needle drops in this movie, like a lot.
Yeah.
Like it goes from
This
having really great
look
score to like, do we need a pop song right now?
to we are Iron Man.
Yeah, yeah. Do we? At one point, I was like, "Wasn't that the song they used in all the Power Rangers promos? Do we need this right now?"
And like, what was when he first gets awakened, and like, just like the pure, just like destruction
Oh yeah.
that he does, and like, it's so cool. Like, he's not speaking. He's like so menacing.
That was scary.
The second he starts talking
I know.
in this movie, he lost all of his menacingness.
That scene is straight up terrifying. Like that was the one I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I want to see the rated R version of this scene.
Yeah. And to
already-
go to the comic book thing at the end where like before he smashes the throne when him sitting in it, and then like he's like, I'm gonna sit. Oh wait, let me move my legs a little and then put my hand up like this. Or like, yeah.
It's almost like his way of saying, quick, take the picture. Take the picture.
Yeah. Because like he sits down and then he moves his legs and then he moves his arm and like it goes in closer. And it's like,
Oh, that was such a trailer shot. That was a shot for the trailers.
I was just like, is this a panel in the
oh,
comic
that is
books?
1,000% a panel. It was like almost like his way of just saying, like, this is dumb. I'm doing this to shut everybody up about it. We destroy the throne. Okay, I never have to do this again.
Yeah. And it's like he's sitting there, and what you're supposed to be thinking is he's contemplating ruling this country and then decides not to. All I saw was comic book shot.
I'm gonna clip that out later. Just that's gonna be our next short. It's just you going comic book shot. You mentioned Peacemaker earlier, and I wrote it down because that does lead me to something we haven't really touched on yet. What the hell is Amanda Waller and Task Force X and what are they doing in this movie? They even bring back Jennifer Holland from the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker in her Matrix style leather jacket for some reason.
And that was her first take.
Oh,
you can't tell me that they did more than one take of her.
No,
there.
that was I got 10 minutes till my flight. Let's go.
She is yelling. Because of the water, you're like, oh, I gotta speak louder. And
Right.
like there's a way to sound mix this where she can be speaking her normal voice and then you just up it a little bit and like lower the water sound a little. No, she's yelling.
To me, that felt like we need to hammer in the fact that this is Amanda Waller's organization but ultimately, if you've seen Peacemaker, her being there makes no sense at all. I wrote that in my notes. I was like, what is she doing here? Last time we saw her at the end of Peacemaker, she damn near died, and she's handling that. What is she? Yeah, but like you said, that was a hey guys, I have tickets to see a better movie in an hour. Can we make this quick? And she went and shot her scene and ran to the theater. Like wow. But all of that ultimately also ends up being completely pointless.
Yeah, because it's a way to take Black Adam out of the movie.
Yeah.
To then be like, oh no, we actually need him now. Like,
honestly, I would have preferred a moment where he just says the word, and like, because he's this mythological being and things like his word, he doesn't do sarcasm. He doesn't do things tongue in cheek. He, the idea that Black Adam would say, "I give you my word, I will never speak the word again." Like, have him just say it, humanize himself, and then just him sitting back and just saying, "No, I vowed I would never do this again in the name of my son," or whatever, because he has this Jesus moment. And then have him do it's like, okay, no, I have to go, and then says it and comes back. Like, you could have done that and had a moment of character development rather than just, I don't know. He's just kind of over there underwater. But also, why did he wait till he was underwater to yank the mask off? Why didn't he? If he could just yank it off, why didn't he do it before he? I don't know. Because then we couldn't get the trailer shot of him Jesus the water surface. The ending of this movie is where this movie was already a hot mess. The ending is where it totally falls apart.
This was a Wonder Woman CGI battle in the third act.
Yeah.
Is what
we got another sky beam. We got more sky beams. Can we with the sky beams? Can we stop with the sky beams, please? It's 2022. God, anything.
But we got Mephisto confirmed though. So.
All right, Mephisto's in this. Wait a minute. Google. Yeah, he's a Marvel character. The ultimate crossover was just been confirmed. I don't know. That's why he wasn't in Loki. He was too busy doing stuff in the DC universe. He's traveling universes. We just cracked the
The multiverse also has a pocket where DC is.
They reference DC stuff in Eternals, so which was a huge anyway. We get the CGI monster fight from every early 2000s superhero movie. Is it a cool fight? Absolutely. Dr. Fate, I almost said Dr. Strange. Dr. Fate using Pokemon Double Team and trying to solo but also team up on Sabak was super cool. I was ready to walk out of the theater when they killed him off. Because that's not how Dr. Fate works. And when Hawkman just picks up the helmet,
I can feel him not being actually dead.
Well, Dr. Fate. So here's the thing with Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate is whoever puts on the helmet. Whoever puts on the helmet gets the powers.
Yeah.
So when Hawkman just holds the helmet under his arm and double teams, I audibly said in the theater, "That's not how that works."
Was there I know you said it was an empty theater. Was there at least like one or two other people in the theater?
Couple people like way down in the front, and we've got the tall stack seats, so there's a couple people like way in the back, and I think I heard one of them giggle, but I was just like, "That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Like, that is not how Nabu, the spirit of the helmet, works. He doesn't just give anyone touching the helmet the powers. Like, you have to make a pact with him to have the powers. You have to put
that pact was off screen, obviously.
I think part of the reason also made me so angry is because Dr. Fate is such a cool character, and he was the best part of this movie. And to off him, because then when they almost off Hawkman, I was about to say, did we just kill Dr. Fate for nothing?
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Because I'll break something. All right. The post-credit scene. Not only does it not make sense, it is so unearned. It is so unearned.
And yet you can't help yourself from cheering.
Oh, I did. I still got the goosebumps.
Yeah.
But it was less of a, oh, what's going to happen next in this story, and more of a finally.
Yeah. And because of what we were saying, everyone going, "Oh, Superman's in this, Superman's in this, Superman's in this," and then you watch the whole movie and you're like, "Oh, I guess he's in a post-credit scene."
Yeah. Well, because we knew that we knew from The Rock's interviews he was coming, and all anyone could talk about was the post-credit scene. So I was like, "Oh, he's in the post-credit scene." Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah. Cool. And even then, still, you're like,
"Oh, I was still a happy little camper."
No, remember, because like Bogz loves Superman and loves Man of Steel.
loves Henry Cavill Superman.
Yeah, but
Loves.
not just that, but then also he's a huge just Superman fan in general.
Oh yeah,
That
Superman is
I
to
was
him
just,
what Batman is to me. Like,
yeah. Well, remember in our group chat, I was just like, Boggs may actually cry in the post credit
Boggs will
scene.
shed a tear.
Yeah,
Boggs will shed the single tear down the cheek, and he won't wipe it away. He'll just leave it hang there as that mark of, yes, I've earned this. It was a wonderful moment. It was a cool moment. It was a cool moment for Black Adam, because that was honestly the most Black Adam thing about this movie.
Yeah.
Is he goes, bring it on. I don't care. I will take on anyone you send. Send them. Zap, and then just that sound of the sound barrier being broken as he screeches to a halt and lands. And excellent use of the classic Superman theme, by the way.
Using John Williams instead of Hans Zimmer.
Oh yeah, yes, absolutely. The scene itself contained flawless. Yes. In terms of
all the Italian hands,
all the Italian, not a lick of Italian in my blood. Amazing. 10 out of 10, no notes. In terms of how it relates to the rest of the movie, y'all didn't earn that scene.
No,
y'all didn't.
No, not at all.
And what I'm starting to feel like is their idea of Black Adam being what's going to right the ship with the DCEU. I don't think they meant the movie. I think they
meant the post-credit scene.
Yeah, I think they just meant getting Henry Cavill back as Superman.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the Monday before the movie came out, they announced Man of Steel 2 is coming with Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
It's coming. And Walter Hamada, bye-bye, which is fine. He can go. That all but like you wait until after the movie comes out to make that announcement. I'm sorry.
They made that announcement to pretty much say, he's in this movie, you need to go watch it in the theater.
I think they made that announcement because they knew The Rock was all but spoiling it in interviews. And I think they knew we need butts in seats for this movie. So that was their way of playing off The Rock's almost spoiling to get people to say, oh, we need to go see this because I think Superman's showing up. That was from a mark.
Rock was being more wrestler too. He was promoting the shit out of this movie.
Oh yeah, he was 100% cutting wrestling promos for this movie.
Yes.
Which I'm fine with. But also as the moviegoer, I'm like, can you not spoil shit, please? Please. Rock, please. Dwayne, stop it. It felt very unearned. It reeked of, we're trying desperately to hold on, because Viola Davis as Amanda Waller is genius level casting. It's a no-brainer.
Yes.
And you've got that in your back pocket, so you want to use it as much as you can. You know, I mean, they're using Amanda Waller as kind of this Nick Fury-esque character, and I don't totally love that.
And that's not who Amanda Waller is.
That's not who Amanda Waller is. I get the inclination, but it really it has that stench of like, you read the cliff notes of the comics. You didn't read the actual comics. That's what I'm feeling right now.
Or you saw Samuel L. Jackson be Nick Fury and you're like, I want that. Yeah.
And Amanda Waller is the closest thing to that they have. But how in the hell does she have Superman's number, and why is he saying yes to her for anything?
Especially with who Amanda Waller is and how she goes about her business.
Yeah.
Superman would not be cool with that.
Unless she's got something on him, in which case, where's that movie? Oh, right.
I mean,
you never made it.
We'll probably see it in Man of Steel too.
That's something I need them to stop doing, which is like, we're going to introduce something and then show you it happened in the past. Just show me the thing.
Yeah.
You see that happen a couple times now.
Because of the MCU, where the MCU is known for doing these post-credit scenes. And at the beginning, it was a little tease for what was coming next. And they've kind of become like, just kind of Like, especially like, you know, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, like, here's this character in this major thing, like it's,
Right.
or like, here's this major plot point, when that's not what post-credit scenes are supposed to be. They're
Yeah.
supposed to be a little tease for what's coming next, or to like make fun of the audience, a la Ferris Bueller. Like,
And Deadpool.
so, and Deadpool, yeah.
Literally
So
the same scene.
same scene. But they've kind of become just an extra part of the movie.
Yeah.
And I don't like what these post credit scenes have started to become now.
Yeah.
And where She-Hulk, the big post credit scenes of like the first 3 episodes,
Yeah.
like those are what post credit scenes are supposed to
They're
be.
just fun. It's fun.
Captain America Bucks, like, or her like moving
Twerking.
shit around for her parents,
Yeah.
or her
Twerking.
twerking with yeah, that's what a post credit scene's supposed to
Yeah.
be, and that's what Marvel and the MCU used to do with their post credit scenes, and now they're going in, and everyone's like, "Well, MCU is the golden standard, so
Yeah.
we got to follow what they're doing," and it's just like, no.
Well, and on the flip of that, to play a little devil's advocate with that, you know, even going back to Iron Man 1, the Nick Fury post credit scene was there to tease the growing universe at large.
Yeah.
And it was a way for them to do that without sacrificing time in the actual movie. Like,
Yeah.
this way you can dedicate the runtime of the movie to the movie. And this post-credit scene is the little something extra to say, hey, by the way, bigger world out there.
But I was fine with that. That's a tease.
Right. And DC, on the flip of that, has just never done post-credit scenes. When honestly, they probably should have, because at the end of the day, when you're creating a cinematic universe, sorry guys, they work. They work for that kind of thing. If you're trying to say, hey, look, we need to do something to just tease that we got bigger plans on the horizon, cool. Don't use your movie time to do that. Use your post-credit scene for that. This is the first time that, like, I felt that in utilizing a post-credit scene in that way, Black Adam kind of did it right. It didn't feel as earned because it doesn't make a lot of sense.
They didn't earn this type of post-credit scene, though.
No.
They earned a post-credit scene like the Iron Man post-credit scene.
Yeah.
They earned that type of post-credit scene where, like, here's how this post-credit scene, if it was, even though it doesn't make sense that her and Superman know each other or get along with each other, but if, like, you had Amanda Waller and then you heard the sound barrier break and you have the tease of Superman, but you don't actually see him.
Yeah.
Or the post-credit scene that was in the Shazam, where, like, Superman shows up. That's
neat.
Yeah.
And now that we have Henry Cavill back, it kind of makes me hate that scene even more. Because, like, I already hated it because it was just some body double, not Henry Cavill, and I was like, no, this feels like an insult. Now that we have him back, I'm kind of like, could have had him for that one too. Dicks.
They'll CGI him in.
Yeah. No, don't do that. Henry Cavill and CGI Superman, historically not a good idea.
I think we've been going for a while here.
Yeah. There's a lot. There's honestly, for a movie like this, there's a lot to unpack with this. And I could talk about this for hours, but ultimately, just to wrap things up, final thoughts here. All the pieces of a really good movie were in here. They had everything they needed. It was misused. It was misguided. With pockets of great action and incredible writing and acting from some of the supporting characters.
Mm-hmm.
Black Adam takes a big backseat in his own movie. His writing is inconsistent. His portrayal is inconsistent. And ultimately, that's the main thing about this movie is it is a choppy, inconsistent, diluted mess that DC has decided to put all their chips in. And I don't know if it's going to go the way they want, but ultimately, this is one of those DC movies, as a DC fanboy, I will probably never watch again.
Yeah. And not saying that this movie was a pile of garbage, but for this analogy to work, if the pile of garbage looks really cool, still a pile of garbage. And this movie looks visually really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
But it's not a good movie. There's pockets of greatness. And then when I say greatness, I mean greatness in this movie.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's not a good movie.
No, it'll probably make its money back.
Yeah.
But if DC was counting on this to be the sword in the stone for them, keep pulling, because this ain't it. This just ain't it. But hey, look, we have talked at length about our thoughts on different parts of this movie. We want to know what you guys think. If you're still stuck with us all the way to the end here, bless your heart. I mean, just wow. You have free time, the likes of which I can't even believe I have, and I'm the one making this video. But we appreciate you watching. We really do. And please let us know down in the comments your thoughts on the movie. How off base were we? Also, by the way, it came with a cool drinking game for this movie. Take a shot every time they say the word hero. You'll be dead 30 minutes in. I want to know what everybody else thinks, though, because there's a lot of discourse about this movie, and I'd like to hear what other people think. I really am bummed that Bogz wasn't able to go see it, because I would have loved to have him on here.
Because he would he's gonna love this movie,
and I really want to hear. I'm going to tell him not to watch this review because it's going to make him sad. But please let us know down in the comments what you guys think, and like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys again here next time for another episode of Off the Wall.